Hey, welcome back to the Retail Initiative podcast. I'm so excited that you're here. First off, I just want to go ahead and say if my voice sounds a little bit different, I've been under the weather this week. I'm on the other end of it, but my voice is not completely back to normal. But I'm so excited about this content. So when you're listening to this, it is going to be after my Manifest workshop, which I do with my friend Tara Austin at Ruthie Grace. But I'm planning out my content right now, and oh my gosh, it's some awesome stuff. And I wanted to give you a peek behind some of the things that we're working on. Because I think that if you can even just take away this, it can have a massive impact on your business. So our theme this year is focus. And that really came from this book called 10X is Easier Than 2X, which the idea of this book is like, if you want to have what he calls a 2X mindset, like let's just grow. We want 25% growth or whatever. He calls that a 2X mindset. The activities that you're going to do to get there is more of what you're currently doing. Like to just grow some, you just do more. But if you ask the question, if we need to 10X our business in the next 3 years, if you think about it, the things that you need to focus on and the things you don't need to focus on start to become a lot less nuanced, a lot more clear on like, where do you need to focus? And to get there, that means that you have to shift where you're spending your energy personally. And so that's what was this like, that's the backdrop of this event, is how do we focus on the things that move the needle? And so there was this struggle as we were making this. It was like, hey, you need to focus on what moves the needle, but then let's do a session on operations, on photography, on reels, on ads, on like all these different things. And it was like, hey, you need to focus. Now let's dig into a ton of tactical things. And that felt not focused. And that was where it clicked of focus is not a lack of hard work. Focus is not a lack of complexity. Focus is in clarity. When you understand what your vision is, where you want to go, and what it's going to take to get there, if you have an operating system, if you have a way to move towards that in a clear way, that is what focus looks like. What it doesn't look like is some people come into these things like wanting this magic bullet of like, I want Ruthie Grace's success without Ruthie Grace's work. I want the outcome without the input. And the reality is like those can't be disconnected. But what it doesn't have to mean is that you just do all the things. And so what's this balance between doing all the things? And that's part of what I'm going to be teaching. And I'll do episodes on this in the future is like when you're first starting, it's tempting to want to do all these things to generate traffic to your site. You want to optimize for Instagram, for Facebook, for ads, for Pinterest, for TikTok, doing Facebook Lives, like you name it. We do all the things and we spread ourselves so thin, when the reality is at first you can really choose like, where is my perfect customer and how can we just work and work so hard at getting in front of our perfect customer where they already are and perfect that, maximize that before we're adding in these other traffic channels. But what we do is we dilute our effort by trying to do everything. And so one of the big things that I'm teaching is like, hey, what's a framework to decide where to focus and how to do it? And so I want to walk you through that. So step one of this is setting a vision. And this is where so many of my things start, but it's so essential, is like, what is your vision for your life and your business? When you think about it 5 years from now and you can close your eyes and picture it, like, what does it look like? What does it feel like? If you own a storefront, are you handing a bag to someone? Like, what do they look like? What does the look on your face look like? Are you the one handing it to them? Like, what are these things? Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? And then we can start to reverse engineer what it's going to take to get there. But we set a clear goal for ourselves. And goal does not just have to equal financial. It can equal the way you're spending your time, the way you are focused in certain areas. And you could say, these are the things of business I enjoy the most. And in a few years, all I'm doing is X, Y, and Z. Because when I do those things, it produces an outsized impact than if anyone else does them. And so I want to focus there and nowhere else. And that clear vision also gives us a bigger why. Why do we do this? Is it the way that we serve our customers? I was talking to a woman this week that she serves a like size inclusive, like plus size audience. And she's sharing with me her why of that she struggled for so many years to find cute clothes. And so she just didn't feel great about herself. And then she learned how to buy and started this boutique. And it started with her, like outfitting herself to feel beautiful. And now she gets to help people of all sizes feel beautiful. And that is a deeper why that drives what she does. So set a clear vision. This is where you want to go and why you're doing it. Then number 2 is you need to give yourself permission. These are a lot of isms, just to be clear. And that wasn't on purpose, but I'm going to run with it because it's a little fun. So first is the vision. The second is permission. And permission sometimes is to not do things. So right now, the first place to get permission is the second best, but it still can work. And it's from somebody else. You can get permission from somebody else. So if you need it, I'm going to tell you right now, you have permission to not do Facebook Lives. You have permission to not be on Facebook. You have permission to not be on TikTok, to not be on Instagram. Whatever those things are that are not producing outsized results for you, you have permission to not do. A few months ago, we were shifting some of our marketing. We brought on some really talented people internally that we're so excited about. And when we looked at analytics, we saw that our like capital commerce Instagram wasn't producing a lot, but it was taking up a disproportionate amount of time. And we gave ourselves permission to not focus on Instagram. So we post like once a week there. It's just not a priority right now. It probably will be down the road, but it's just not a big deal now. Now I still do on Retail Josh, like that is a priority and it produces a lot for me. And it's something that I personally enjoy. And so that's where this tension is. But right now you have permission to not do everything. Instead, what is going to actually produce an outsized impact? Where are you going to attract your perfect customer? What experience are you going to give them? How are you going to help them? And how are you going to get them buying again? You can be simple there, especially if you're just starting out. And as you grow, you can start to get more complex, but you don't have to in the beginning. And the best place to get permission is not from somebody else, it's from yourself to say, hey, I know that a lot of other people are having success on Facebook Lives, but I don't have to do that. Like that's just not for me. And that's perfectly okay. Sometimes I think we feel pressured to go and do all these things, but we don't have to do them. It is okay to focus on the things that produce results for you right now. And that's just okay. The third thing that you have to do, so you set a vision, you give yourself permission, then you make a decision. You make a decision to stick with it. Like Tony Robbins talks a lot about the fact that change happens in a moment. Now, your whole lifetime leads up to that moment, all the things you're learning, but there is a moment where you make a decision and say, something has to change. I can't keep doing the way I was doing it before. Something needs to change. And we have to make a decision to say, this is what's going to work for my brand, and we are going to stick with it. Instagram is where my customers are finding me. So we are going to triple down on Reels, on posts, on ads, on these things, on that platform, because that produces the best results from us. And we are going to stick with it. And when the shiny new thing comes out, when we read a Facebook post of someone that made $1 million in 2 days, we're not going to be tempted to chase that shiny thing. We've made the decision to focus on what's moving the needle. And then the last thing that you need is precision. This is precision to like actually focus in on your strategy, to stay curious. Like why are things working? Why are things not working? Like if we posted a reel and it crushed it, what could we learn from that? Like could we take the audio and try a different style, and take the style and try a different audio and see what things made that blow up? But we act with precision around the areas we made the decision. So my hope for you is that today you leave giving yourself permission to not do all the things and making the decision to stick with it as you move towards that vision, towards your goals, towards your greater why, to not feel the pressure to do it all. So if this episode's helpful for you, here's my ask. One, shoot me a DM at Retail Josh on Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. Two, if you could subscribe and leave a review. That is the biggest way that you could ever say thank you for content. It's just leave a review. It's helpful for me in knowing what to record, and it helps us connect with other retailers. So I'm thankful that you're here. Can't wait to see you next week.